The buyout rumors are flying again regarding AMC. And now that AMC sits at a $3.26 billion market cap, it might make a little bit more sense for someone to acquire AMC stock. Now, when you're talking about buyouts, there's a lot of implications here. What's the price going to be? What would that do for the shorts? What would it do for your positioning in AMC? What would happen? Well, that's what we're here to talk about in this video. Not necessarily if it's going to happen or when it's going to happen, because those are certainly events that I'm not going to say I know for sure, right? There's not 100% certainty this will happen. Unless you get that news that someone is buying out the stock. In that case, then yeah, it is confirmed. But it's not happened yet. There is just rumors, and sometimes rumors materialize. Sometimes rumors do not materialize, as you guys are well aware. Now, why is this so interesting, at least to me, here as of recently? Because AMC's valuation is not all that crazy, especially if you could start to get some big blockbuster films heading into movie theaters again at a $3.26 billion market cap for a company to control over 10,000 movie screens. It's not a bad proposition. Now, let's talk about the actual implications of this. What would a buyout look like for AMC stock, and what would it look like for your position? Would it cause the MOASS? Absolutely, in my personal opinion. Absolutely, it would cause the MOASS. Now, I know for some people that have been in the markets for a while, they're going to say, hey, if AMC gets bought out at, let's call it $10 per share, how could the stock go higher than that? Well, let me point out to you guys, Redbox. Redbox, as you know, went through short squeezes. Two very violent short squeezes. And get this, Redbox had already agreed to be bought for about 40 cents per share by Campbell's Soup. Soup for the Soul, or whatever that company is that bought them out. So the whole time the stock rallied, it was only ever worth 40 cents. So the stock effectively 10x'd during a short squeeze when they were only worth 40 cents. So absolutely the stock could go higher than the buyout price. Now, I think it gets very interesting when you actually start to think deep about how the hedge funds would benefit from this. Because on one hand, there's a lot of institutional ownership with AMC stock. There's no secret there. A lot of institutions own AMC. If you take a look at the largest owner of AMC, it's Vanguard. They own 18.42% of the total shares. They own 95 million shares, almost as many shares that are currently sold short. And Vanguard, they have enough capital to buy out AMC if they wanted to. BlackRock owns 10% of the shares, 51.76 million shares. State Street owns 4% of the company, 20.5 million shares. And then you got other firms that own, 5 million shares, 3 million shares, right? So on and so forth. Now, who would benefit from this? Why would someone buy out AMC stock? Well, I think it's pretty clear that hedge funds, they're always going to be worried about the retail investor. They're always going to be worried about what's going to happen the next time I'm caught in a bad short squeeze trade. How bad could it get? And that's why I think you'll see a lot more short squeezes in the future, especially when the markets rebound a little bit. And that is still going to be a concern for everyone involved in AMC on the shorting side. And they continue to short the stock. There is still so much demand to sell stock short in AMC. The utilization has been at over 100% for months now. The cost to borrow rate is remaining steadfast over 20%. So since these buyout rumors have been flying, I started to really question and wonder why someone would buy out AMC. Who would have the most benefit from buying AMC? And we're not exactly talking about just buying a movie theater industry, right? Netflix, you could make the argument why Netflix or Amazon or one of those companies would buy out AMC. Now, you can get very deep with this concept I'm about to explain to you guys. But if hedge funds shorted the stock, call it at $50, $60, and now the stock is at $6 and the valuation has come down tenfold, and you have a massive gain on that position, it might make sense to buy out the company to make sure that you don't, one, lose that gain or get squeezed out of your position at some point in the future. Because it's pretty clear to everyone involved that AMC's probably going to go through another major short squeeze. Even hedge funds, they're thinking along those lines, that we're playing with fire here. We got to be very careful. Those are what words the hedge funds are using when they talk about their positions around AMC stock. So one, you could lock in some gains. Let's say AMC got a buyout price of $10 per share. Does that mean, like I previously said, the stock can only go to $10? Absolutely not. The stock can go higher than $10 or whatever that magical buyout price would be. So in a weird way, there's an opportunity here for a hedge fund with a large short position to acquire AMC, gain the business, the actual core movie theater business, to lock in some of those profits, but potentially go long on the stock at the same time. Because if you're doing that, then that is a very arbitrage strategy, because you were already up so much on that initial short position, and eventually, if you could weather the storm of this short squeeze, and at that point, I mean, you're buying the stock at, say, $10 per share, it wouldn't even matter how high it went. You would lock in your gains and potentially be able to make some fat trades to the upside to capture that retail momentum that would come into the stock. Now, who would most likely be the company to acquire AMC? It would probably be Amazon or Netflix, but I think Amazon would actually make a little bit more sense here. And that's because they're just a much larger company. Their market cap is in the trillions of dollars. They have hundreds of billions of dollars of capital at their disposal, and it wouldn't be a huge proposition at all for them to acquire AMC, and it would almost be like bottom fishing at this point, given the valuation of AMC. So you could make the argument fundamentally, mathematically, why it would make sense for Amazon to diversify their business and put AMC in their portfolio. But I wanted to take this one step further, because who is the largest owner of Amazon, as well as Netflix shares and AMC shares? Well, no surprise, it's Vanguard. So Vanguard owns 6.76% of the total shares in Amazon. They own 689,093,882 shares worth $82.5 billion. And I think it's pretty clear at this point that Vanguard is likely one of the largest shorters of AMC. They probably have the most to lose if AMC were to go through a short squeeze. So in theory here, Vanguard, right, they own 18% of AMC. So if they did buy out the stock for, call it $10, they could make money on that buyout regardless. They could also lock in their gains from shorting the stock. They could also benefit fundamentally from Amazon gaining AMC, helping to diversify Amazon's business, basically bottom fishing AMC after a very bad year in the stock market, and even make some money as sympathy trades for some of their larger positions like a Netflix, right? Once you start to get buyouts with different sectors, right? Netflix, Amazon, when those rumors were flying about AMC being bought out by those companies, they were all going up on those rumors because people wanted to know who's buying AMC stock. So from my perspective here, it looks like Amazon, as well as Vanguard or BlackRock or State Street Group, even the largest holders of all three of these companies, could be the ones to make out the most. And just for the sake of this video, Vanguard does own 34.5 million shares of Netflix. They own 7.77% of this company. I used Amazon as the company that I was going more in depth on with the analogy, with the description of why buying out AMC might actually be beneficial, not only just to buy out the stock and whatever, add it to their fundamental businesses, right? And Vanguard, how they would benefit from that, but they're also a part of Netflix. And Amazon, yes, they could acquire AMC a little bit easier because they have a lot more capital at their disposal, but it would also make sense for Netflix as well. And guess what? Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street Corporation, they are the largest holders of Netflix as well. So what would this look like if we did see a buyout with AMC? As you guys know, buyouts, once they're pretty much confirmed, the stock, if it doesn't have a lot of short interest, if it doesn't have a retail community backing the stock, it will go pretty close to the buyout price almost instantaneously when it's announced, if not the next day. So if a buyout price, let's call it $10 per share, that's probably what the buyout price would be. That means AMC would almost instantly jump up about 40% to $9 per share, $9.20 per share, in that range. But a lot of momentum could come from that. You could go higher than $10 per share. You could actually 10 or 20x, just like we've seen with Redbox stock as well. And I do think that would happen just off of the initial reaction and the enthusiasm that a lot of people would have for AMC stock. And to be honest with you guys, I don't think management would say, hey, we're not going to sell the stock or sell the company. I think they would entertain that because, after all, they've been selling shares this whole time. So this is really just my thoughts. I haven't seen anything definitive about Amazon or Netflix looking to acquire AMC, but there was some really strong rumors circulating last year. There's also some strong rumors that are starting to circulate now. And it makes a little bit of sense why Amazon or Netflix or Vanguard would push Amazon or Netflix to acquire AMC stock. I think it would be in the short seller's best interest to essentially lock in some of those gains from shorting the stock, to take that risk of seeing a full-on MOASS at some point in the future going to hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars per share off the table. But I do think inevitably it would start another short squeeze in and of itself, guys. So that is going to be all for this video. Let me know your thoughts on this theory down below in the comment section. Feel free to post your own theory. Who would be the one to acquire AMC? For why? What reasons? Do you have any evidence? Is there something I missed here in this video? Actual more solid proof of this going on? Let me know down below in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns. Thank you again. Get your free stocks with Webull, Moomoo, and Public. If you guys want to come trade with me live in real time, link down below in the description as well. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your night. I will see you in the next one.